Hi, this is Evan Burkhead, and today we're talking to Dr. Claire Wheeler. And Claire, our customers have emailed in and blogged on our website 6 different questions. The majority of them ask these questions over and over, so I'm going to ask them in the order that they ranked, starting from the top, and we appreciate you're helping us out with answers to these questions from a healthcare professional. The first question is, what are the effects of stress?
Well, you can break the effects of stress down into 3 major areas. And basically what we're talking about here is chronic stress, or the stress that builds up over time, day in, day out, dealing with hassles and major life events. So the 3 ways that it tends to affect people most often are physically, mentally, and emotionally. So if you look at the physical effects of stress, there's 2 basic aspects to the chronic stress state. And one of them has to do with your nervous system, and the other has to do with your stress hormones. So just looking at your nervous system, what you tend to see is that you're sort of chronically sort of keyed up and ready for something bad to happen. And we call that sympathetic activation. And what that does to the body is it keeps your blood pressure elevated, it gets your muscles tense, it's associated with more frequent headaches, either tension headaches or migraine headaches especially, and it also tends to make it hard for people to sleep, so you have insomnia. And when you put that together with the muscle tension, people often complain of fatigue. The other aspect is the elevation of a stress hormone called cortisol. And a lot of people have heard of cortisol, and there's a lot of research that has come out recently linking cortisol with especially heart disease, but other chronic illness as well. And what the main effects of cortisol when it's elevated chronically in the body is it keeps your body ready for some kind of emergency, and that includes a famine, because really we're designed to withstand that if you think about sort of our genetic heritage as hunter-gatherers. So what cortisol tends to do is elevate blood sugar. It keeps cholesterol and triglycerides high in the blood, and it also pushes fat, any extra fat on your body, even if you're not overweight, into your abdomen. And I think we're becoming more and more aware in general that abdominal fat is the most dangerous kind of fat to have. And one of the things that it does is it affects your insulin receptors and makes them less sensitive. And what that does then is elevate your blood sugar. So when you put all of that together, what you're really seeing is stress activating the major risk factors for heart disease and stroke by elevating your blood pressure, keeping your cholesterol and your blood sugar high, and putting fat in your belly. So physically, it can be quite hazardous to stay in a chronically stressed state for a long time. So then looking at the mental effects of stress, what happens is your thinking becomes kind of scattered, because when you think about it, if you have some kind of an emergency coming up, you're thinking all the time about escape or what are you going to do in the next moment. So people who are chronically stressed tend to have trouble learning new things. They frequently, very often, a lot of my patients have complained about memory, almost to the point of, wanting to get their memory tested because they can't remember where their keys are, they forget names and things they need to do. And just in general, it's harder to concentrate when you're stressed out. And then finally, the emotional piece is really important. Stress is almost like an emotional state, but different people sort of have different emotions in response to being chronically stressed. And the 2 major ones tend to be either anger or feeling sad and kind of helpless. And both of those have been very strongly linked also to chronic disease. So like when you get stuck into anger, that can evolve into hostility. And people who get kind of stuck in a sad, helpless response, that can evolve into or harden into depression. And hostility and depression are the 2 emotions that are strongly linked with the development of cancer, heart disease, and other diseases. So when you put all that together, you got a frazzled, sort of irritable, tired person who is caught sort of in this spiral of not feeling up to the demands of everyday life.